Really, really encouraging news about Kristaps Porzingis' ankle injury. That and Jayson Tatum tinkers with his shot. Joe Mazzulla gets philosophical, all on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Thanks to Blockbuster Brand, it's holiday season. Drop Drew in the mix, and 3 from KP. No, we not on the Knicks. Flushing competition like Al on Giannis. Juice and Big Juice, still Bean Town's finest. Banner 18 going up in the rafters. Watch the C's game in Locked On after. Karalis on the breakdown. Clutch like a tip from D. White on the breakdown. John on the mic documenting domination. Matter pen a back bay, it's all C's nation. Rainer J's how we started, raising business, how we finish. Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners. Peace.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. I got you every Monday through Friday, plus post-game podcasts whenever they play, and they're going to be playing soon. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts. Watch that show on YouTube. Get into the comment section. Let me know what you're thinking. I'm John Karalis. I've been covering the Celtics team for about 20 years now, doing it as a beat writer right now for the Boston Sports Journal. I've written a couple of books, including Built Different, covering the Celtics run to a championship. Buy that on johnkaralis.com. $30 personalized, shipped anywhere in the United States. International shipping extra, but we've got options. So hit me up. Today's show, all about Media Day. Later on, we'll get to Jayson Tatum and the shot mechanics. Joe Mazzulla gets philosophical in the second segment. Kristaps Porzingis feels great. You will hear the audio from everybody. I'll play you the audio that I recorded because I was there. Today's show is brought to you by Gametime, by the way. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase of last-minute tickets to basically whatever's out there. Kristaps Porzingis, to me, that's the big story coming out of this. Porzingis feels good. Not only does he feel good, the Celtics are encouraged by his recovery. He had surgery at the end of June. 5 to 6 month recovery. So let's hear, first of all, from Brad Stevens, who I love what he said.
Kristaps obviously had the surgery that was well documented after the year and seems to be recovering well. He's very optimistic. I don't know that we're interested in putting a timeline on him because the injury is unique. But as far as how he feels and the progress that he's made, I'd say we're very, very pleased with where he is and maybe a little surprised.
Very, very pleased with where he is. Two verys, not just one. Words matter. Brad Stevens chooses his words carefully. Very, very pleased and maybe a little surprised, which means if you put very, very pleased plus maybe a little surprised equals, will it be the 6 months or will it be sooner? 5 to 6 month timeline. They're not straying from that, although Brad Stevens didn't say he's still within that 5 to 6 months. They basically said, we're not going to put a timeline on there. Okay. If you go with the early 5 to 6 months, well, that's Thanksgiving, not Christmas. And I've been looking at Christmas as the potential. Thanksgiving, is it out of the question? You know what? I don't think so. Let's listen to Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah, no, I'm walking obviously with nothing. I'm running. I'm on the court, shooting, normal. I'm doing a lot of stuff, honestly. I was already kind of with some light contact doing some stuff also. And yeah, felt really good afterwards. So I think it's a really good sign that we have from the other day. And again, I'm optimistic as always.
Yeah, I'm optimistic too after hearing that. So Brad Stevens, very, very pleased and maybe a little surprised. Kristaps Porzingis is already running. He's already on the court. He's already going through light contact. He's shooting normally. That is all incredibly encouraging. So I did get a mailbag question from Drew. And the question was, from Dre, sorry. With Brad being encouraged with KP's health, Would it be possible for a late November, mid-December return, or is that wishful thinking? It's not wishful thinking. I am actually starting to wonder if that's what we should be looking at. I don't want to get the hopes up because the Celtics have been notoriously careful with Porzingis. But I would rather, I hear you. I can hear you yelling in your car, or if you're in your office, you just hear the voices. No, you do not want to bring them back early. But I tell you, I would rather, if he's going to be 100% and ready to go, I've been, you know me, I've been a firm believer forever. When a player is ready, he is ready. There's no point in a guy who is 100% and ready to play. There's no point in him waiting. What's the point? Because it's Kristaps. When you're ready, you're ready. When you're 100%, you're 100%. You're not going to get to 105. You're not going to get to 110. When you get to 100%, you're 100%, and that's it. That's the end of the story. I don't want to push him, but let's say it's the early part when they said 5 to 6, and that's what their original email to us said. Their original release said 5 to 6 months. And I know this is why. What I'm doing right now, this is why teams don't like to put these timelines on it, because people like me go, well, if it's 5, then it's this. If it's 6, then it's this. And if it's past 6, then something must have gone wrong. But if it's going great, then maybe it's 5. And you start to get your hopes up, and maybe it's still Christmas. I don't know. But if he's 100% by Thanksgiving, then play him. And I would rather see him take every other game off than have him wait until December 20 whatever to come back. I'd rather have him come back in November 20 whatever and play every other game, play, recover, get into the rhythm, see how he feels, play that next game. And if it's a little soreness, you say, okay, we're going to give him an extra day's rest, take it cautiously, but start him ramping up. Use this time wisely. November and December, use it to your advantage. Get him back up to speed. Reintroduce him to his teammates. I know this is the same exact team from last year, but different players add different wrinkles to their games. So it's not a complete change from it's not like Jayson Tatum needs to be reintroduced to Kristaps Porzingis. But if Tatum adds a little element, that might just mean, hey, we need to get onto the court and work out our timing a little bit. That rhythm of Jayson likes the picks like this, and this is the timing of when you roll and when you pop, or Jayson or Jaylen or whomever, or Derek or Drew. But they like to do this new thing. So let's just fine tune. It's nuance, but get the nuance out of the way. And if he needs to rest and take an extra game off, great, do it. But don't wait. Start it when he's 100%. Don't bring him back early. Bring him back when he's ready. But I'm encouraged. I think Porzingis coming back sooner than we expect, is bad news for the rest of the NBA. Because if the sooner the Celtics are fully healthy, you got the Knicks dealing with Mitchell Robinson not being 100%. He's not going to be back until December or January. Who knows what the Bucks are? Who knows what the Sixers are? They're going to need their time to kind of work out whatever they need to work through. So maybe they hit the ground running, maybe they don't. But the sooner the Celtics are whole, the sooner they can start playing their normal style of basketball. The less stress you put on Al Horford, the less stress you put on everybody, the more you can start building up that lead in the East and maybe start resting guys on the back end of the schedule and get ready for the playoffs. So I am super, super encouraged by Kristaps Porzingis. I think this is potentially big news. Joe Mazzulla. We love Joe Mazzulla here. Another great quote, philosophical quote, important kind of mentality. He's laying out what the Celtics need to do to move on from that championship and start focusing on the next one. That's all coming up next. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. And NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. If you get a hunch in the middle of a game, just open up that FanDuel app. You can get the latest stats, live play-by-play, and a whole lot more, all on the same page as where you place your bets. So it's all right there. You can check to confirm some of the stats, some of the things you're feeling. Boom, you can place one of their in-game bets right there. Place a $5 bet right now, and you'll get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's no matter what happens to that $5 bet. So when the Patriots are 10-plus point underdogs to the 49ers, you want to take the points, you want to say, nope, I'm just bet against the Patriots, whichever one you want to do. Doesn't matter. Place that $5 bet. You'll get 200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Download that FanDuel app. You can set your limits, set your budget, use the tools that you have available over there so you can gamble responsibly at FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. Thanks for making the Locked On Celtics podcast your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA. Make that your second listen. I just recorded that with Jake Madison, the Wednesday show. So go check that out. We talked about Kawhi Leonard being just a mess and having knee soreness and fluid and all that stuff. We talked much more about Porzingis, and we got an outsider's take. So we got the NBA take on Porzingis, and talk about Derrick Rose, who was waived by the Memphis Grizzlies. What's his future? That's all on Locked On NBA. Let's get back to this media day. Boston Celtics. Some of my favorite quotes here. My other big thing for the Celtics this year is, how do you move on? We talked about Joe Mazzulla. How does he get these guys to move on? As Joe Mazzulla does, he is very philosophical in explaining what the Celtics need to do.
One of the challenges of this offseason was detaching from the past and having an understanding of if you're attached to a success or a failure for too long, that can be really dangerous. And the world tries to keep you attached to the past. And the world tries to keep you attached to your latest success or your latest failure. And that's where people get stuck, where they're in, is attachment. And so it was a balance of we can't be attached to this past success. It would be the same as being attached to a past failure. So how can we detach from that with the understanding of taking the things, the DNA of the things that we need to do to try to go after greatness again? And so it's just a battle of, detachment versus attachment. And, I think that's kind of what we're going to have to be working towards throughout the year.
This is peak philosophy, Joe Mazzulla. And he's right. This is the "what have you done for me lately" phenomenon, right? It doesn't matter if it's how Jayson Tatum is perceived. It doesn't matter if you've hit 100 game winners in a row. If you've missed your last 10, people are like, oh man, he can't hit those anymore. You're attached to your latest success or failure. That's how people become typecast. That's how people become phenomenons on social media. They do a thing, they're attached to that thing. Everybody wants you to do that thing. It's like, say the thing, Bart. I didn't do it. When he's the "I didn't do it" kid, another Simpson reference for you. But that you get attached to your latest thing. It's a very astute observation. The Celtics have been attached to this championship, and you cannot spend your time attached to the championship. Not this season. You have to detach from that and move forward. Take what you need, take the stuff that you've learned and say, okay, this is a new journey. This is a new game. You beat the game once. Now you start it again. You're not going to beat the game the same exact way the second time. You got to go through, you You got to go through all the bosses, and you got to go and you beat them all. And sometimes, it goes differently. So that's the Joe Mazzulla philosophy. He's very much about just because it worked last year doesn't mean it's going to work next year. And that's the message to the Celtics, that everything was great that you did. That's all well and good. It's done. It's over. Detach. Do not be the guy or the team that is only known for the latest thing that you've done. And that's how you become great. Think about an actor who is known for a role, and he or she is seen as this. Now, do you become somebody like, I don't know, think Jennifer Aniston from Friends. She was huge on Friends, but she became other things. She moved on after the show. She detached herself from that character. She took other roles and she became something bigger, right? Henry Winkler, who, listen, for us old heads, I'm speaking directly to my fellow 50-year-olds. We knew him as the Fonz. He detached himself from that. It's not always easy, but he became other characters that we like, and he's known for other things in other shows. But it's hard. And if you give in to always being that guy, always being that woman, then that's all you'll ever be. And that's great. Some people make a nice little living. The soup Nazi guy is a great example from Seinfeld. He's always been that. He's made soups, the Soup Nazi brand soup, and he has fed homeless people because of it. Lean into it. That's great, but never really became anything besides that. So if you want to be something besides the 2023-24 NBA champions, you got to detach from that. Take another role, right? Maybe you got to be a little bit more serious. Maybe you got to be a little looser. Whatever it is. You do not want to be typecast as the one and done. That was the year, and that's it. So, Joe Mazzulla, look, the more I hear him talk, the more I do become a fan of the way he thinks. I love the way he thinks because I think, first of all, it means he's paying attention, right? He's paying attention to what's going on. You look at the world. He's not just looking at basketball. He's looking at human beings and who are the most successful human beings and who are the least, and what's the common thread. And if you can find the common thread, you can get far. And he's doing it. It's not just about what offense are you running out of timeouts. What are you doing against the zone? You got to get human beings, 15 human brains, to work in a similar fashion and break through human nature. And he finds these ways. Good for him. Good for him. Jayson Tatum is finding a way to hit more three-pointers. He says he's identified mechanical problems. Why didn't he fix them in the playoffs? He knew about them in the playoffs. Why didn't he fix them then? He actually addresses that next. Today's show is brought to you by Gametime. It's the place to go to get your last-minute tickets. You can use this new feature called Gametime Picks. It makes getting those tickets so much easier for all of your favorite live events. That's sports. I know the NBA is here, and WNBA. Maybe you want to grab a ticket to see one of these incredible games. I was there watching Caitlin Clark. Sun did a great job shutting her down. They play Wednesday night. Last minute idea. Go check them out. Use that Gametime app. That Gametime Picks feature filters out the fluff so you can get the incredible deals. You toggle the all-in pricing. You turn that on, and you get the final price on those tickets. No surprises at checkout. You'll see the panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy it, And the lowest price guarantee means Game Time credits you 110% of the difference if you find that ticket somewhere else for less. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off at Game Time. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. I've written Built Different, celebrating Banner 18. We can stay attached. You and I can stay attached to Banner 18 for a little while. Buy my book at johnkaralis.com. $30 $30 for U.S. shipping. International shipping, if you need this book through me, costs a lot more. Hate to say it, but what doesn't cost more are the labels that I can say. If you already own the book, if you have it internationally, the label, $10. I will keep it at $10 for the international as well. I'll just keep it at 10. Even though the international is a couple of bucks more, I will eat the shipping on the labels. Doesn't matter. It's only like, it really is only a few bucks. So $10 for a label anywhere in the world. If you've already got the book. So that's the way you do it. If you want my book, if you can find it and get it to you shipped somehow cheaply, then order my label through me, johnkaralis.com. It's all right there. Okay. Back to media day. The other big question, motivation, sure, from Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. We'll talk about that. That'll be a bigger topic. They did say a lot. So that's going to continue to be a thing. We'll talk about Jayson and Jaylen's motivation for sure. But a lot of people have talked about Jayson's shot, his 3-point shot. It's not a big deal, right? He shot normally during the regular season. The shot just went away during the playoffs. Everybody acknowledges that. It just kind of went away during the playoffs. Not the biggest deal. He's been streaky in the past. He says he's identified the problem and he has fixed the problem.
Been working with my trainer, Drew, a lot recently in the last few weeks. A few mechanical things, pick up points, hand placement, getting lower, keeping my shoulders forward and things like that.
Did you feel anything kind of go wrong in the playoffs in terms of those mechanics, or did you kind of just go back and look at it over the summer and see them?
Yeah, there's some things I could have fixed, but just in the midst of the playoffs and trying to manage, your rest and things like that, it's a little tougher. And I was still playing well, just wasn't shooting the ball as well as I would have liked. And obviously we were winning, so it wasn't the time or the place to try to fix things in that moment.
That's an interesting kind of take on that, because basically he's saying I knew that I needed to fix some stuff in the playoffs, but I needed to rest, so I wasn't going to go and do all of the work necessary to tweak the shot, fix the shot. And so we're rolling, we're winning, and it didn't really matter. So I didn't do anything about it. And you can't argue with it. The Celtics lost, 3 times in the playoffs, right? 3 times. So you can't get mad at Jayson for saying, well, we basically are almost sweeping our way through everything. You're up 3-0 in the finals. Like, it doesn't matter if I'm hitting my shot or not. So I think it's kind of unselfish in that way to be like, look, I know I need to tinker with some stuff, but I also know that, right, I'm playing well. He said I was playing well, and he did play well. He just didn't shoot particularly well. He did play well. He moved the ball. He did all the stuff he needed to do. He defended. And so he figured, look, I would rather get my rest, do the other stuff that I need to do. It's working. I'll deal with the shot later, but I'd rather be rested and healthy and not fumbling around with my jumper in a playoff game or in a playoff series and kind of messing with, focusing too much on that and not enough on the other stuff. So, okay, fine, cool. Take it at face value. Sure. That works for me. He identified a lot of the, hand placement, shoulders, all of that stuff, getting lower. Okay. That's all stuff that you work on in the off season and you hone in on that. It's a jump shot is very precise. I always compare it to a golf swing. It's very similar. All you need to do is repeat it over and over and over again, which sounds easy, but it's very difficult. But if you can repeat the same swing over and over and over again, then you will hit the ball straight. You'll be a good golfer. Pro golfers can do a lot of other things, and just like pro basketball players can do a lot of other things. But if you can repeat the swing and if you can repeat the form on a jumper, you'll hit a lot of shots. They will all go straight, both in golf and in basketball. They will go where you want them to go, and you will be happy. It won't be perfect, but you'll be happy. If you're not repeating the same shot, if something is a little off, and it could be fatigue, it could be just, sometimes like on a computer, why am I not hearing the audio? Why is this thing not reading what I plugged in? Sometimes you just got to restart. You got to hit that button, restart the whole thing, refresh it, and you're like, okay, now everything's working fine. You almost have to hit a restart button, not completely start over, but you know what I mean. You just got to shut it down, bring it back up, and you're like, all right, yes, I got it. My hands were a little off, my shoulders were a little off, and there you go. It's easy for a jumper, especially the 3-point shot, to kind of, you lose your way a little bit here and there. And this is where the confidence comes in. And this is where Jayson maintaining his confidence throughout all of this is so huge. It's super easy for a little thing. And when I say little thing, shoulder placement like Jayson's talking about, hand placement like Jayson's talking about, how low you go. Pro athletes can feel all these little things. They are very aware of these things. If you don't fix it, it can get into your head. And then you start trying to overcorrect and overfix. And Tatum, I hope he doesn't get to that point, but as long as he's just shooting with confidence, he's like, okay, here, I just got to spend the offseason. Just, okay, yep, I got it. I'm back here. I wasn't doing this before. I'm doing it again. Start to see the shot go in. Boom, done. He'll be fine. I think Tatum, I don't know if he's going to be a 42% 3-point shooter, but as long as he's in that 38, 39% range, then Celtics are going to be very, very happy. So good to see that he acknowledged that there were some mechanical things. Kind of actually glad that it was a couple of mechanical things, because that at least shows there's a reason. Kind of the worst thing that can happen and be like, no, I'm doing everything right and it's still not going in. That really messes with your head. So at least there is something tangible to work on. So we'll see. There's something to work on. The results should also be tangible. So we'll see how it goes. Celtics are practicing all week through the weekend. And then next week they go to Abu Dhabi to start getting ready for those 2 preseason games against the Denver Nuggets. So stick with me all week. Stick with me all season, because I will be there. I won't be in Abu Dhabi, sorry, but I will be most of these places where the Celtics are to give you the inside look here on the Locked On Celtics podcast. So make sure you are subscribed wherever you get your audio podcasts, or on YouTube and get into the comment section. Make sure you're letting me know how you feel, what you think about all this stuff. Tatum's shot, Joe Mazzulla's philosophy, and especially Kristaps Porzingis. Do it all and share the podcast. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.